This podcast is a part of the Podmania podcasting network. Check out podmania.co.uk to check out more of our great podcasts, features, reviews, match ratings and previews spanning the crazy and diverse world of professional wrestling.
Going to die.
Hello guys and welcome to another new episode of the Stardom Cast, your monthly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom right here on the Podmania Pro Wrestling Network. I'm your host Rob Good and I'm joined as ever by the Joshi Mark himself, Chris O'Brien. Chris, how is isolation treating you, buddy?
It's bad. You need stressful. My brother's a dick and Garth's dying. So.
The world is quite literally falling apart. I meant to tell you this earlier. Actually, I went on a walk with my brother a couple of days ago before the lockdown. People don't jump down my throats before the lockdown.
You're one of the types of people who caused this lockdown. I say that I did go on a date last week, but that doesn't matter.
And I looked at him, and obviously he lives on his own with two cats. And I looked at him and just went, "Seriously, man, are you going to be all right during the lockdown? I mean, you're on your own and shit." And he just looked at me without one hesitation. He looked at me and said, "Rob, I have been on my own most of my life. I've been training for this my entire adult life. I'm going to be giving out seminars on how to self-isolate, motherfuckers. It's going to be amazing." And walked off. I was like, yeah, fair enough. Hero.
He walked off.
He did. I mean, he came back. We were on a walk. So we didn't walk off and then spend the time, a mile and a half apart. That's taking social distancing a bit far.
Yeah, to be fair, though, what people are... So, it was the day before the lockdown. It was Mother's Day. And my sister texted me going, "Hey, did you get Mum a Mother's Day present?" And if I don't get her a Mother's Day present, it's kind of awkward because I live with her. So...
How did I forget again?
So she was like, "Look, because of Corona, because she has a kid and all that, she can't be traveling all over the place. So she's like, I'll go half it and we can get her like a nice little Mother's package." So we were going to get her some gin, some tonic, some nice tonic because, it's Mother's Day. And some like wee chocolates and stuff. People are fucking hoarding the tonic. There was no tonic water in Asda. Who the fuck thinks, "Oh Christ, I might not be able to go outside for a while. You know what? I'm gonna buy all the tonic."
The gin was fine, but it's just the tonic.
There's so much gin. That's the thing. There's so much gin. Like there was a comical amount of gin, considering there was no tonic.
You just imagine people at the tonic factory just going, Do you think we need to buy it? Nah, there's fucking loads of it. The gin will run out before the tonic. Oh, how wrong they are.
Literally, it's like a litre of gin compared to like 500. We could only find it like one 500ml bottle of tonic.
But that was all that mattered, and that's all that was important for your mum. You got it for her, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, to be fair, that's the only thing this house is stockpiling is alcohol. So.
I thought you meant tonic water. I was like, you're the problem. Anyway, there's been a lot going on recently, obviously, in the entire world of wrestling. And this has sort of come to light with Stardom announcing that, finally, after, over a month of not doing any shows and, then doing a show with obviously no crowd, which we'll get into in a moment. It was announced that they'd carry on with the Cinderella Tournament. And in the same day, I believe, or around that time, New Japan announced that they would be cancelling all shows up to and including Sakura Genesis 2020, which was due to emanate from Sumo Hall, and the first show of the Road to Dontaku show. Now, obviously bearing in mind that All Japan aired a show on Monday, their Dream Power Series show, headlined by Suwama and Kento. Why do you think, Chris, New Japan are continuously cancelling shows. The reason I ask, I understand that companies like Big Japan have been running this entire time with limited audience. DDT
came back.
And obviously Stardom are back now. And I know that some companies, like All Japan, for example, need to come back to get the money to stay afloat. And smaller companies are under a lot of pressure to do that. The thing that, and obviously New Japan being the biggest company in Japan, don't need to do that. You know, they're fine financially. I think you said before, Chris, that the amount of money they pulled in from Wrestle Kingdom alone will tide them over for this year. The reason I'm asking is obviously Stardom have seen it prudent, should I say, to start wrestling again and actually having people in. But they are owned by Bushiroad. And obviously Bushiroad is the company that owns both Stardom and New Japan. So why bring Stardom back, yet keep cancelling New Japan dates? Is it just a case of, you know, ultimately these shows are from, you know, Korakuen and they're a maximum, 1,600 seat venue, whereas Sumo Hall is, you know, it tops out at, I think, about 11,000. Is it a case of that? Or why do you think, Chris?
I think it is that. I think it's just a case of that they do run much bigger shows. Where you look at this show, like Korakuen Hall, was more than half empty. There's only 500 people there, which is worth mentioning. Is a much smaller cap than what All Japan put on for the show the day before. Like All Japan drew about 1,200 people to Sumo Hall.
To Sumo?
Yeah, not to Sumo, to Korakuen.
Oh, okay.
The day before, so like they're letting in a lot less people. Like honestly, in terms of like money, I could see Stardom being fine, to be honest, because like I think I'm right in saying I'm probably wrong, but a lot of their money comes from like merch sales and meet and greets.
I imagine that is a massive part of their gross income. Yeah, sure.
I really don't know. Like it's a weird one. Like, it came out today that I think apparently the Japanese government was sort of hiding corona numbers to try and keep the Olympics.
When your company is basing, I mean, what would be an enormous windfall in the summer, you've got hundreds of thousands of people, maybe even millions of people descending on the capital come August to watch this incredible thing. And, you know, it's going to bring in huge tourism numbers. Your economy is going to soar. You don't want to lose that, you know, if you can help it.
But, like, it is super unethical to go, it's very suspicious that numbers started spiking 3 days after 3 days of no new cases.
Yeah, and I think potentially with the Olympics now officially being postponed until 2021, I think we'll probably see a few more numbers coming out of Japan. From what I've heard, and again, this could be, you know, the numbers not being completely accurate, or, you know, read into that what you will. I think we will see a couple more cases coming out of Japan now, because ultimately now they don't have much left to lose. You know, whereas before, if they announced that they were spiking out and they were having, you know, hundreds of deaths a day, then the Olympics would have been cancelled months and months and months ago, which, to be perfectly honest, I think it should have been, but that's my own personal opinion.
It's super weird to me how, like, slowly things have moved in some ways. Like, you saw, like, you did see, because, like, when you look at Stardom, and, like, as soon, like, back in end of February, they were like, no shows this month, we're not doing it. And whereas New Japan sort of held off until the last possible second.
Yeah, and then obviously we're in a completely different scenario now, where Stardom have said, "Yeah, we're gonna start putting on shows again, and we're gonna have people there, albeit with masks and everything, and, you know, heightened sanitation and things like that. You know, encouraging people to wash their hands. You know, all that stuff we've heard so much about. And New Japan are reticent to bring any new shows out at all, even though it does mean that we have got some classic content with English commentary on New Japan World, which I do urge everyone to check out.
I think part of it is also like Stardom do tour, they're mostly basically just Osaka, Korakuen, and Shimbaba. Whereas like New Japan's all over the shop. So
No, I agree. They're not as big a company. They're not, drawing as many people, are they? So potentially the risk is lessened, I suppose.
Like, I guess if it put, like, we know Stardom to be able to draw much, much more than 500 people to a Korakuen show, especially when compared to like an All Japan show. So like, in reality, I think they're basically trying to just gonna put a small amount of people in a big room.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's, the numbers that you're talking about, obviously, there was 1,200 at the All Japan show on Monday, and the official attendance listed for the Cinderella Tournament from the 24th was 538. And, just to watch this show, only the front rows, I think I counted the front 5 rows on the opposite side from the hard cam. You've got the first 5 rows and then literally no one. And that's the same on all 4 sides. So
yeah, when you're looking on 4 sides, there are people that they're really scared.
Yeah, and it still concerns me that, yes, most of them were wearing masks, and you can assume that hand washing was taking place and things like that, but they were still very, very close to one another, and that's still something that worries me. There's been stories of countries trying to, gradually bring life back to normal again, and have done it too quickly, and then have had to re-bring in all these measures, and I don't want that to happen anywhere, but I don't want it to happen in Japan, a country where, I enjoy their wrestling and their entertainment output.
Yeah, coronavirus. We want to watch fucking wrestling. If you fuck up the G1, I'm gonna kill you.
I don't think you understand how upset I am at the loss of the New Japan Cup coronavirus, you bastard.
Yeah, it gave Rob a match he was really high on, and then he shut up for the rest of the year. Seriously, it was so weird, like the drop off in how much you love Naito versus Ibushi, and then like it just stopped.
Yeah, no, I agree. Anyway, enough New Japan news. This, of course, is a Stardom podcast. Let's get on to some Stardom. The last time we spoke to you, we were just on the cusp of the Stardom The Way to Major League show, which was their show from Korakuen on the 8th of February. And again, just to give you some indication of the numbers, that drew 1,519, so almost 1,000 more than the Cinderella Tournament. I think that's more an indication of, what life is like there than Stardom's drawing power, which I'm sure everyone knows anyway. But Chris, the 8th of February show, just to quickly go through some of the bigger matches, that was where Donna Del Mondo, the team of Giulia, Maika and Sayori, won the Artist of Stardom titles from the Queen's Quest team of Azumi, Momo and Utami. It was also the Wonder of Stardom title match between Arisa and Bea Priestley, and then of course the singles match versus Iroha and Mayu Iwatani. Do you want to talk very briefly about that show, the things you liked, and basically just give us a little bit of a rundown?
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird one actually, because it's the one where they were showing off the Fire Pro DLC.
Yes, of course.
So they showed all the little sprites for everyone. And then everyone came out, and the sprites are already out of date. Like, even small, like someone like Saya Ida, who wears like very basic green attire. Even that had changed from the sprite.
You can just imagine the people behind Fire Pro just going, for fuck's sake.
And like Bea Priestley, of course, is wearing a very, very different attire nowadays. But anyway, just going through like the 4 main matches. There's a number 1 contenders match for the artist title, which isn't normally number 1 contendership matches, is there? It's normally just, I want it. Okay, come get it, bitch. Oedetai beating TCS, which is a weird one. Because like Oedetai is in a weird place where like the Gaijins are the most compelling part of them. Like, I mean, look at their leader.
Well, I mean, we had a conversation not so long ago, Chris, where I was convinced that the leader was Natsu Sumia. Absolutely convinced.
I was looking at it going, what?
It's obviously Tora. No, it's not. It's Sumia. I know it's Sumia. And you were just like, no, it's Natsuka Toro.
I'm sorry, but like everyone in there, why would you... I think Saki is more claiming. She's the Dolph Ziggler of Stardom.
She made a very dull match even duller, but we'll get into that in a moment.
We will get into that. It was fine. Like, honestly, Oedo going over TCS was weird, mostly because TCS and Donna Del Mondo are feuding. But like, I think that was meant to like make the finals of Cinderella make more sense, because as it stands, it didn't make a ton of sense. But we'll get to that. Then there was Donna Del Mondo beating of Giulia, Micah, and Sayuri, beating the Queen's Quest team of Azumi, Momo, and Utami, which was fun. Like, I think there was one bit where like Sayuri and Momo just did like the Ishii Shibata thing, where they kept sitting down and telling each other to hit each other. It was great. Like, Momo just sort of like planted. Like, I'm trying to think of like when a kid is really angry, walks in and just goes, ah! It was like that. It's like, kick me. So that was fun. Arisa versus B was better than I expected, given how like we don't normally mix. There's this really cool bit where Arisa went for the Oscutter, because you know how she's been doing that to annoy B Priestley.
Yes. Yeah.
So B jumped up and did like a springboard German suplex.
I've seen that gift, and I know that B also, they did a similar spot in the recent
Osprey B match.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it was a fun match. 7, like on the cusp of an 8 out of 10, but like unfortunately, like, B Priestley is great at the moves, but not at much else. She's really good at dropping Mayu in her head. And then we have Takumi Hiro. I can't say her name properly. I've actually never heard it said out loud, like in the way we say it. Like, because of course, like the Japanese announcers go Ihiro Takumi or whatever, but like this way I've never actually heard it said out loud. I just realised that. Taking on Mayu Iwatani, and oh my god, Rob, I can't believe you haven't watched this fucking match yet.
Now, you have very, very much waxed lyrical about how good this match is, and we spoke briefly before we came on, and this might be your favourite Joshi match ever, am I right in thinking?
Yeah, like the only thing possibly being it is Arisa and Jungle. But like they're very different matches. Arisa and Jungle were sort of like... Actually, we're not about it, because the thing is, though, because basically, you know how every time we see like, a big man versus small man match build, we think, oh, that's going to be great, and then the big man doesn't pull his weight?
Yes.
It was like that, but the big man pulled his weight.
I love it when that happens.
I love it when everyone in the match tries. But no, seriously, like Mayu was on the back. I watched this match last like a month ago, so like the fact I can remember all I should say, you need to know, but like early on, Mayu got thrown, like lawn darted into like the ring post, not from the outside, so not into the buckle, like literally just into the post, because she has no sense of she might die one day. And then like Aurora was just beating her, and then like Mayu is probably one of the best ever, like in Stardom, well probably the best in Stardom on like hope spots. Like she kept like using Ihora's the amount of different pronunciation, Jesus, but kept using her momentum against her to try and get quick wins. There's this bit, and you've seen this because I sent it to the group chat, but whereas like I was doing like fucking Power Ranger kicks.
Yeah, I have seen this.
And then Mayu just ducks them all and hits a German suplex, and like the whole time I was watching this, like, oh my god, like I was like the fucking Osprey Takahashi bit in their match where I was just there going, oh my god, what the fuck did I just watch? And then like some absolutely devastating power bombs, like you have no, seriously, ouch, I wanted to cry. And then Aurora beat her with a running 3, which is like a running Razor's Edge, and oh my god. And then so afterwards, setting up the next show we're going to talk about, her Mayu was like, hey Takumi, we should fight again, because that's just what Mayu is. Apparently she's a sucker for pain.
She is an absolute sucker.
The perfect girl for Rob.
Bastard.
No, and then like Saki came out. And she was like, I want to fight you. She was like, I have no interest in fighting you.
And from this Cinderella show, there's every reason why she's got no interest.
To be fair, you didn't see the title match.
Well, let's let's get into that now. Obviously, a month later then, exactly a month later, Stardom had cancelled all of their shows, but obviously with Korakuen basically being their big show every month, they didn't feel like they could cancel it, so instead they put on a show with no people, which we've become very accustomed to with WWE and AEW doing the same, called Stardom No People Gate on the 8th of March. They aired it live for free on YouTube. It is, of course, now available on Stardom World. I think it's obviously still available on YouTube.
It's on Stardom World and it's still on YouTube. I think on Stardom World they have like the individual matches with the promos.
Yeah, with the English style promos.
I have no interest in rewatching anything on this show, so I haven't looked.
Well, this is where I was going to ask your opinion. Obviously, I didn't have time to watch it. I was still at work at this point. One title match, which was the Goddesses of Stardom title match with the Iwido Tai team of B and Jamie defeating Queen's Quest, Momo, and Utami in 13:45. But otherwise, 5 matches, a fairly sparse card. Chris, anything you can shed light on?
All right, so first of all, the Battle Royal was one of those matches where it can be given between anything and a 3 and a 6, and I'd probably agree with them. It depends how much you care about structure in your wrestling. The two notable things. One, Natsushi Mirai definitely fancies Jushin Thunder Liger.
Who doesn't?
And, I mean, ouch. But Def Yama-san was fun, but also weird because their gimmick is mostly about playing to the crowd. There was a couple of surprise entrances, but I know nothing about any of them. Layla Hirsch is apparently still in the country. I had no clue. And Saya Ida pulled a Mick Foley in the 1998 Rumble because she came out as 3 different competitors.
Amazing.
She was Saya Ida and then became Captain Stardom.
And then Super Strong Starlight Machine.
Yeah. And she just came out, and I was like, this weirdly Saya Ida shaped person is dressed up a super strong machine. Am I watching a DDT show? What is going on?
She had a fairly busy night, Saya Ida, because wasn't she in the next the singles match after this?
Basically, because Arisa was injured, Natsu Tora, they need to make Tora continue to look strong because she's the leader of Oedatai. And so she came out and was like, we're fighting. They thought it was a match. Saya Ida was in no place to have in any way a competitive match because she just went through a 24-minute battle royal, which she was in 3 times. So so that was fine. TCS took on Hana and Jungle took on Donna Del Mondo, Giulia, and Micah. Hannah and Julia still want to hate fuck each other, so the universe still goes on. And Kyona continues to just be the enemy of anyone with a head. The Oedatai versus Queen's Quest match was actually really good. I gave it an 8, but on my ratings this month, I keep thinking, is this actually as good as I think, or have I just been really wrestling stuff this month? You know what I mean? I'm watching all this going, oh my god, but this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. It's wait, no, it's not. So I gave it an 8. If I ever rewatch it, it would probably go down. But it was fun. Jamie Hayter continues to just kill people. Momo actually killed several people at several points in this match. She hit the Dude Buster, which by the way I really need to look up what movie it's actually called in Stardom because I'm pretty sure people are going to get annoyed if they keep calling it the Dude Buster.
It's called the B Driver.
Okay. That's even worse. I'm gonna, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna keep calling it the Dude Buster.
I'm making a point.
She did it on the apron, which of course was insane, and then B1 with the Queen's Landing. I'm always tempted to call it the Ocean Tycoon Suplex because seriously, Joshi fans get weirdly annoyed when you call it the Queen's Landing.
Genuinely though, Queen's Landing, far better name.
It is a far better name. It's sort of like how the Emerald Flosion was called the Tiger Driver, and the Emerald Flosion is just a cool name because what the fuck is a Flosion? Tiger Driver's kind of a more succinct, Island Driver's a more succinct name. Anyway, then we had Mayu versus Saki, which was full of Oedatai bullshit. This is apparently a lumberjack match, which I did not know going in. This is why I missed the promos. And yeah, the highlight of this match was Mayu jumping off of the hall bit in Korakuen Hall.
She just has no sense of self-safety, does she? She just...
To be fair, there was like a lot of people to catch her, but yeah.
And she weighs about 13 pounds. Fair enough.
No. Yeah, like she weighs as much as a chihuahua you'd put in your bag.
Yeah.
But she's not as small as Rio, though.
No, true.
Like, I've had meals smaller, bigger than Rio. But the one thing with Mayu is that that's one of the worst things she's done off of that, because Kagetsu's hung her from that.
Several times.
Yes, and then once she just let her go and she just dropped. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Doing the rounds on social media at the moment is a GIF compilation of all the times that Iwatani have tried to destroy Mayu. And the worst one by far, like the spots where she's hung from the balcony look horrible, but the worst one by far is where they push that onto her, where they push that like metal, it's like a entranceway onto Mayu, and she gets her head trapped between that and the guardrail.
Oh fuck! I have seen that. Jesus Christ!
And you're like, I'm sure it was worked, but then the more you watch it, you're like, but how was it worked? How?
And we just need to put this out there. Kagetsu's Iwatani hit a lot different than Natsu's Iwatani.
Yeah, you're right. So yeah, all this sort of everything was up in the air for a while, and then Stardom announced that right, we are going to do our Cinderella tournament, and we're going to air the first round for free on YouTube, and everyone was like, oh, finally, wrestling is back. So a little bit of backstory behind the Cinderella Tournament. I'm sure Chris will correct me if I go wrong, but the Cinderella Tournament is a 16-woman single elimination tournament. Basically, it's a New Japan Cup, but it all happens in one night. Every match has a 10-minute limit, apart from the final, and you can win via pinfall, submission, or, which I didn't find out till partway through the fucking tournament, over the top rope elimination. So it is a slog. I think it would be more of a slog if, the matches went any longer. Luckily, you've got matches that lasted 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and, so on and so forth. The brackets then, Chris, going into this, you had Momo Watnanabe versus Starlight Kid, Giulia versus Jungle Kyona, Konami versus Azumi, Sayori versus Jamie Hayter, Saki Kashima versus Tam Nakano, Seiya Kamitani versus Natsuko Tora, who apparently is the leader of Iwatani, Utami Hayashishita versus Maika, and sort of billed as the main event of the first round was Mayu Iwatani versus Hana Kimura. Going into this, Chris, before we sort of dissect some of the matches, what matches really stood out to you as ones that were like, interesting?
Momo and Starlight and Giulia versus Kyona, just thought, we could get a Momo Jungle rematch. I thought Tam versus Saki had the most to talk about storyline wise, because of course, did you know that Saki was once in Stars?
I did, yes.
I was being sarcastic.
I think it might have been mentioned.
Just a couple of times. Did you also know that Mayu has no interest in fighting Saki?
Again, might have been mentioned.
And Hana Kimura versus Mayu. By the way, this match caused an argument, not because, believe it or not, not because of Hana versus Mayu, but because I was like, yeah, Mayu should be thrown out of the first round, and then Rob wanted to kill me.
Yes, we were coming up with our own dream scenarios in which Mayu versus Arisa was the final.
To be fair, like I just looked at like the hyperbolic language we were using to like put forward how much good our favorites were. And I was like, we're not like this with any other wrestling company. Like with New Japan, we'll have a very spirited debate over who's better between like Okada and Naito or something. But then, it's like everyone in this is Taichi.
I mean, speaking personally, I mean, I get more invested in characters in Stardom than I do in storylines, because the storylines are very basic,
They are very basic. They basically come up with a match and then build the storyline on the road twos.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I think Mayu was great, and she was the first person that I saw from Stardom on that godforsaken match against Kelly Klein at Madison Square Garden. But Hey ho, never mind. So yeah, let's dive straight in then. 24th of the 3rd, 2020, the Cinderella Tournament. I didn't mention that the winner of the tournament gets a lovely dress and a trophy and a wish. The wish is usually, I want a title match.
I don't think it's ever not been a title match. I think one year we need to get creative with it. Like Kyona wins and brings Jan back. Or like Sumire wins and gets a night with Jushin Liger.
Well, that sort of leads us into that first match. That's amazing. But I am going to spoil the segue slightly. Just because before the show officially started, they had a pre-tournament photo. And during this pre-tournament photo, Hana Kimura was eating a banana. And she gave the skin to Mayu, just as they took the photo. And Mayu
was going to be so mad.
Bless her. Just looked so confused as to what was going on. And rather than just putting it down, then posed for this official pre-tournament photo with the fucking banana dangling from her hands. And you could just see Hana Kimura wetting herself. I thought that was really funny. We then moved into...
I ended up,
go on.
Very quickly, they were live streaming the press conference. I caught a tiny bit of it because I was like, I wonder if they have like a translator seeing how this is being live streamed. They didn't. Of course they didn't. But we did, at some point Hannah just got up on the table and May just followed her.
Bless her.
Because she was like, okay. And just got up the table. That's the thing, May always looks super confused about everything that's going on around her.
It just makes you want her to win. Because she's just so, like, she looks so lost in so many situations. It's great. So we started then with a dark four-way match with Natsu Sumiya defeating Hina, Itsuki Hashino, and Rina in 5 minutes and 6 seconds. This was literally only noteworthy for Natsu attempting to seduce Jushin Liger, who was on commentary. I literally have nothing else to say about this match, Chris. I gave it 4.
Natsu Sumiya being a sex pest in a match with 2 underages. Actually, maybe 3. How old? Is he one of the ones that are like deceptively? Yeah. I can't say her name for someone. Itsuki. She's one of those people who look 14 but are in their 20s.
I was just going to say, didn't we look this up on the first episode of Stardom?
We did. Because it was like Hashino, Saya and Tall Saya, Tai Kashima, which is her actual name, and. They were all like 22, 23, and I'm like, how?
I don't understand this. What is going on?
It's like a child, like a literal child walked into me and going, hello, give me the beer. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, I'm 25. I'm like, no, you're not, get out.
So first official match of the first round, Momo Watanabe defeating Starlight Kid in 4 minutes and 54 seconds. This was genuinely...
Very quickly, I have something to say about this match. The combined age of this match, so Momo's 20, Starlight's 18, is younger than the current WWE Universal Champion.
That's mental. It's the best Starlight Kid match I've seen. It was wrestled at a really, really high speed. Starlight continually tried to do all these flippy, fast-paced moves, and Momo just was having absolutely fucking none of it. She just kicked the shit out of Starlight Kid. That kick that set up the B-driver for the win, genuinely, I can still feel that now.
It was the water chops of kicks. That's what I kind of liked about this. Like, Starlight was wrestling in the style of like the high-speed division, so she's going for like these quick roll-ups, the fluke win with a drop kick over the top rope. Like, that sets up just the story of what this tournament could be absolutely perfectly. Like, it's a perfect way to open it. And again, like, just Starlight tries to get quick wins. Momo's like, nah, I'm gonna kill this child.
You want to win? I'm going to kick you in the head instead.
It's like whenever I want to do, I want like the good bed when we're at Blackpool and Gasper. It's like, can I have it? No.
Yeah, I enjoyed this match, and again, for me, One of the MVPs of this night was Momo Watanabe. I thought she had a really good tournament, even though she only wrestled 2 matches. Spoiler alert! I will just say at this point that we'll be giving our ratings for these matches, but the chances of any of them touching anyone's end-of-year list, very, very, very slim.
That's worth mentioning, because like 10-minute time limit, you can't do a ton, so it does become all about how you pace in that 10 minutes. For example, this match was paced to go 5 minutes, therefore it's a highly rated 5-minute match. But also, like, if you're trying to, like, build the story of like a 30-minute match in a 5-minute match, that's not going to work. So it's not so much about what's in the match, more about pacing becomes a lot more important in situations like this. Like, it's somewhat mitigated in something like the 5-star, because that's a 15-minute time limit, and like normal Stardom main events only go about 3 minutes more than that. But like here, it is definitely about get your shit in and die.
Yeah, exactly. I gave this 7. I thought it was a really enjoyable match.
I get a 7 as well.
Oh, babe.
Especially basically the lucha shit at the beginning.
Yeah, I did think that was really good. By
By the way, Rob, did your girlfriend ever question it when you go, oh, babe?
No, she knows that I'm talking. I answer the phone to everyone as hey, babe, apart from my boss, obviously, because that'd be weird.
It was the most awkward thing in my life. So, like, I was kind of friends with this guy in college a couple of years ago, right? I was just we were gonna go on a night out after class. It was a Thursday, and we got off on a Thursday. So we get on a bus in town. Just answered the phone. Like he's a white guy who sounds more English than me, and was like, "What's up, Matt?" And he said the N-word. I'm like, "Oh my god."
Long story short, Chris is no longer associated with that person.
No, I mean I still went on the night out, but like I needed to get drunk, and he was buying, So.
But now, social distancing. We move on to the second match then of the first round with Giulia defeating Jungle Kyona in 8 minutes and 23 seconds. Before Chris kicks off about the lack of appreciation for Jungle Kyona in this match, obviously there is history between these two, with Giulia's history with Tokyo Cyber Squad and Hana Kimura in particular. I thought Jungle made Giulia look a lot better than she was, and that became apparent as the tournament progressed. There was a horrible moment when Jungle nearly dropped Giulia on her head with a spinning scoop slam, but then made that completely irrelevant by literally taking her head off with the most beautiful sliding lariat I think I've ever seen in my life. There was a moment where I popped when I thought she was going to hit Giulia with the Jungle Buster. I was like, oh my god, for a start it's called the Jungle Buster, which is it's a muscle buster, for those who don't know.
It's not a muscle, because they don't do a bump. She like jumps down and like onto her ass, and like it's more like a back pass stunner, but not that. Like it's a move that's been banned in WWE because it has an unbelievable chance of going wrong if you don't tuck your neck properly.
To be honest, you look at it and you think, yeah, it's banned for a good reason, that. Unfortunately, though, and again, Jungle did dominate the majority of this match.
Oh, but there's this great moment where she hit a powerbomb and then got her back up, and it looked like she was going to do the Jungle Bomb, but then just fell back and hit her into the turnbuckle.
Yeah, it was good. It was ace. But Giulia, two-move Giulia, eventually strapped in the Stealth Viper to win. Chris,
very quickly, there's one good moment with there's one good thing that Giulia did, and I was like tied Jungle's hair behind her and started hitting with forearms.
Yes, and she tried to do that later in the tournament, but it didn't work. And again,
we'll get into that.
Yeah, as I highlighted at the start of the match, it did become glaringly apparent that Giulia was having a good match because Jungle is great, as opposed to Giulia being able to carry the match.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Giulia has 2 of the highest rated matches in this tournament for me, but when you look against who she was against, that makes sense. Like, we'll get into that in a second, but as soon as she was against talent lesser than the upper echelon of Stardom, she didn't go too well. By the way, very quickly, Giulia fans are very, very passionate and very fucking annoying.
That's fine. I know that Giulia is obviously very, very highly regarded by Stardom. She is yet to be pinned and yet to be submitted.
She was from Ice Ribbon before.
She was from Ice Ribbon. I personally don't get the hype about her. I personally don't like her as a competitor.
I've not seen her as in Ice Ribbon, but quite frankly, I shouldn't have to. Be good in Stardom if you're gonna be in Stardom. For the way I put it, I was talking to a Giulia fan on this page I'm in, and he was like, "We'll go watch her Ice Ribbon stuff or whatever," and I was like, "David Tennant, I love him in Doctor Who. It does not mean I will follow him to Broadchurch." Or in wrestling terms, Kushida left New Japan and went to NXT. I don't like Kushida in NXT because he isn't very good there.
That saddens me greatly. I'm not going to lie.
It does sadden me greatly because he's basically a jobber to the stars. If Adam Cole needs a good match, for throw him in with Kushida.
Yeah.
But anyway, this match was really good, and that's because Jungle is incapable of having bad matches. And if you're not going to have a good match, she's going to kill you. Jungle lost though. Life isn't worth living. I don't like Giulia. I have a big rant about Giulia set up for the finale, so I'm not going to blow my wad just yet, but because this was a good match and it deserves praising. I gave this an out of 10, Rob, if that gives you any indication.
Yeah, I gave it a high 7, so 8's fine for me.
Well, it's definitely a low 8, but it's still an 8, and I think the reason went 8 because with Arisa out for a while in Stardom, partly because we don't know when the next show is going to be, and partly because she's injured. We don't know when Arisa's going to come back. So Jungle is now my favourite.
De facto favourite.
Yeah, no, she's... I was thinking Jungle is always de facto. But yeah, no, Jungle's my favourite currently in Stardom. So, of course I'm going to pop. But the fact that she didn't win. She sold really well for Giulia. She
did. Like I said, this match was good. I think...
Because it was Jungle led.
Yeah, we'll get into later Giulia matches, and something I will say because it might seem like I'm ragging on Giulia a lot, and I am. One of her finishes.
Oh my god! I'm sorry. I just clicked on her Cage Match profile. She's rated so highly on Cage Match.
Giulia is.
Yeah, 8.23.
Maybe we're just missing something, Chris.
A majority of people have given a 10 out of 10.
I don't know what to say to that.
Oh, you know what? Everyone who's watched here we go. Everyone jump on the bandwagon now. There's a reason Giulia is being positioned as a top player in Stardom, while only being 12 matches in. Don't be shocked if she's World of Stardom champion before December 2021. I mean, that's quite a long way away.
I'd be very surprised if she wasn't.
I'd be very surprised if someone didn't realise how shit she was before then and dropped her.
Well, I will say this. Like I say, I thought her Stealth Viper, her submission, is a very, very good submission. I will give her that. It looks painful.
At that Emerald Flosion type thing she does. But my main problem with Giulia, I'm fine with a lumbering big. I mean, she in position where she'd basically be like a Lance Archer type figure or something. Of which, Lance Archer winning the New Japan Cup, I wouldn't normally complain. But they very much gave her a Roman Reigns push here, and I don't get it. And also, I hate her character.
Stupid question. She seems longer than she did before. She seems to have grown and got lankier.
She evolved.
Giulia has evolved into Julianne.
But, she has a very different look from everyone else in Stardom. But also seriously, she is a Pokemon because the words she says you, all, love, and Giulia in that order.
Yeah. Well, let's move on
She's
from Giulia because
interesting member of Donna Del Mondo.
I know, and you have got a massive rant. So let's move on from Giulia before we get stuck in a loop on this match.
One's in a time loop, and the other one's an idiot.
Moving on then to match 4, which was another Cinderella Tournament first round match with Konami defeating Azumi in 2 minutes and 36 seconds. Not a lot to say about this match. It was 2 minutes and 36 seconds.
Tell you what, though, this is one of the best matches sub 3 minutes I've ever seen.
Do you know what? I was going to say that exactly. The pace was ridiculous. The dueling arm bars and speedy reversals was great. Really, really high paced, as you would expect for sub 3 minutes. I gave it 6 because I didn't feel like I could give it 7 with it not going 3 minutes.
I can kind of see that, but I kind of adjusted it because like Azumi singles matches very rarely go that long.
All right, let's give it 7 because there are some undeniably lower matches later on in the match. Just before I go on to one of those aforementioned matches, Chris, have you got anything to say about the Konami Azumi match?
It was really good. I sort of liked how just Azumi was like, all right, I'm going to try and kill you, and then Konami was just like killing her with one kick. I do like that story with the high-speed guys versus the regular like heavyweight scene. It sort of helped Konami's main problem was if she's on screen for more than like 10 minutes, I'm probably really fucking bored.
She's very much a one-trick pony in her strikes.
I think with her, like the best comparison within like if we were to compare it to like New Japan is like Sonata, where like everything she does really well, but she has like more like 2017 like pre-Okada feud Sonata, where like she does everything really well, but she's so hard to like sort of grasp onto. And like in someone like Stardom, which is very much like you look at everyone's favorites in Stardom, it's like Hana, Mayu, Arisa, Jungle, Momo, like all these characters, all these like big personalities, and like Konami's just not that.
No, I get that, and I think something like this, and also in the tag team with Jungle, I think that's perfect.
Jungle
for her.
really helps because those two are basically a couple. I was about to say weird, but is it weird? It's not weird, but also like it's weird.
What are you trying to say here, Chris?
I don't know, but like, I don't know. They seem like one of those couples that like would collect something really weird and really obscure.
Oh, so it's not the fact they're a couple that's weird.
No,
it's
like,
the type of couple they'd be that's weird.
Yeah, no, exactly. Do you ever look at two people and think you're probably really weird when you're like alone together? And like that's what I think when I see Konami and Jungle.
You've got test tubes of hair in your closet, haven't you?
I mean, not that weird.
Overall, I mean, I enjoyed Konami in this tournament. She wasn't in for long, obviously sub 5 minutes in both matches, I think. But even so, really good here. Nothing to complain about. What I did complain about is the next match with Sayori defeating Jamie Hayter in 4 minutes and 43 seconds. Okay, Chris, so very much telling a story here of Jamie's power versus Sayori's speed and technical ability. Basically, Sayori attempting to lock Jamie Hayter in the armbar, which is absolutely fine. But in a 4-minute match, how did it look like, A, both people were absolutely fucking exhausted halfway through, and secondly, why did A, Sayori whiff about 4 of her moves, and why does she not shut the fuck up? I'm not being funny. She makes it through, spoiler again, but if you're listening to this, you probably know the brackets anyway. She makes it through to the semi-finals, and honestly, it got to the semi-final, and I had to mute it. Because every time she's in a move, she's doing a move, she's running, she's standing still, she's making this horrible, grating noise, and it got to a point where I was just like, oh my god, shut the fuck up. You're a decent wrestler, just shut up, please. I mean, I thought Robbie Eagles was bad, but fuck me. Jesus Christ.
You know what? I didn't notice how bad Robbie Eagles was until you pointed it out.
You're welcome.
And then I had noticed that with Siri.
Honestly, how did you not notice it was Siri?
I just didn't notice it.
How?
Like I was too busy listening to the commentary. I didn't understand it, but I'm trying to figure out in my head which one's Liger.
What noise is it that's destroying my speakers? Oh, it must be Sayori's voice. It's so loud, it's so grating, it's at such a register that I swear dogs on my street were turning round. Anyway.
Moving away from Rob's hatred of Sayori's voice. First of all, how uncomfortable must Jamie Hayter's singlet be?
There's a couple of singlets that I imagine are quite uncomfortable.
Her and Hana. Like, everyone else looks like... Yeah, well, also Nazi, but it sort of fits into her character.
Yeah. I mean, they're used to it, I imagine, but it does look incredibly uncomfortable. It doesn't take away from the fact that this was the worst match of the night thus far.
Thus far, yeah. I was about to say really, but no, thus far, yeah. First of all, like, this match was definitely very sloppy. Like, this match strikes me as one that whereas everything hit, it would have been really good, but nothing really hit. Like, even Jamie's like lariats didn't hit too hard.
No, and I know that you've spoken to me about how Jamie in a singles match is completely different to Jamie as part of a team because she's almost got two completely different characters. She's a bruiser in the singles matches, and she's this huge personality in the tag matches because she bounces off Session Moth and B.
And B, yeah, but that's the thing. She, given the right people, she can be both. Like, remember the Jungle Konami versus B and Momo match from B and Utami match from, what was it? Oh, shit, what one was it? It was one of the Korakuen shows we've done. And like, Jamie was just spent the whole match beating the shit out of Jungle.
And that, I feel, would be great, but every time I've personally seen her in singles action, I've not been invested. You know, she is quite young, so I mean, I imagine she's got time on her side.
She is 24.
Yeah, she's got loads of time. She's got loads of time. I wasn't a fan of the match, and it was one of the weaker matches on the card. Not a lot to say. Not a lot else to say, really. We move on then to the match between Tam Nakano and Saki Kashima, with Tam Nakano defeating Saki in 5 minutes and 20 seconds. There was a point in this match where I think that Tam had literally and actually had enough of Saki, because she actually need her full in the fucking face to set up the Tiger Suplex for the win. But that knee to her face, that could have been the finish. Oh my God, it echoed around the arena. It was horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Yeah. I need to send you a screenshot of these other notes I took for the Tam Saki match, because the Tam notes are just, I love Tam's kicks. I love Tam's Matrix shit. I love Tam selling. When Saki's in control now, I'm bored.
I mean, I know that, you know, turning Saki heel and sort of tagging her onto Iwatani is a way of trying to make her more interesting, but
nope.
Yeah. This match was brilliant when Tam was in control, and Tam is fucking great. I mean, don't get me wrong, she still whiffed the top rope move, and one of her matches later on is fucking dreadful. But this was as solid as it was going to be. You know, 5 minutes and 20 seconds carrying Saki. I gave it a 6.
I gave it a 6 too. And that's all just because Tam's normal shit is so good.
Yeah. I love the moment where, you know, you said her Matrix shit. She then Bray Wyatt walked through Saki's legs and attempted to pin her. Roll-up. It was brilliant.
Like, why doesn't Bray Wyatt ever do that? Well, it's not because he's in 3-minute matches with Goldberg, but...
And no offense to Bray whatsoever, but Tam is not an enormous 6 foot whatever bloke, you know, with shoulders like a brick shithouse. Can you imagine him trying to fit through Cena's legs?
There's not many people's legs he can go through, like maybe Keith Lee.
Can you imagine Cena trying to get his legs that wide so Bray can spider walk through it?
We know this spot's coming because Cena would shout it so loud. He'd just be like, grab walk!
Oh, this match, that was another note. I've just reread my notes. This was another note. It's the first time when I've there's a couple of ref instances where I'm like, what the fuck? This was the first one because there's a moment where clearly I think it's Saki is supposed to kick out and she hasn't quite kicked out in time. So the ref goes 1, 2, and then goes down for it and Saki kicks out, and I was like, that was so blatantly obvious. It was so obvious, the pulling of the hand. It really annoyed me. But
I think that's why WWE doesn't tell refs results, but then finds them when the wrong person wins.
Well, yeah, exactly. We then move on to another match, first round. Natsuko Tora, who apparently is the leader of Iwatani, defeating Saya Kamitani in 6 minutes and 3 seconds. Nothing special this match, but I actually liked it a lot more than I thought I would. I enjoyed Tora being, this evil bitch who was just toying with Kamitani. There was a moment where Kamitani's in the camel clutch and Tora is stroking the top of Kamitani's head while she's in this move, and I was just, it's sadistic. I love it. But literally, apart from the enormous frog splash to win it, oh my god, that landing sounded so hard. It was ridiculous. Apart from that, there was literally nothing to say about this match.
Yeah, well, you have to remember about Tall Saya, which she's unofficially known as because her class.
Saya you were on about?
Yeah, no, because there's two Sayas, and one of them's very short, and one of them's very tall.
So Natsuko Tora defeated Tall Saya in 6 minutes and 3 seconds.
Otherwise, I just get my Sayas mixed up. But we have to remember, she only debuted in August.
Yeah.
Did Saya? Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm not saying this is a bad match. It's certainly not a bad match, and in the grand scheme of things, it's actually a middle of the road match.
To be fair, I was actually quite surprised. Because normally, Saya acts like 2007 Jack Evans, where she's just doing, shooting stars and shit.
Yeah, and I did appreciate that she couldn't do that because Tora, as soon as Kamitani, sort of got a little bit away from her, Tora sort of dragged her back in, and then, she was never out of control of this match, and I thought it was a nice story to tell with Tora.
Yeah, especially since she's been set up, spoilers, as the heel of the tournament, which would make sense against anyone but Giulia. But,
well... We'll get into that in a minute, because from here...
yeah.
Yeah, from here, can we just appreciate... So, it's match 7. I gave this a 5.
I gave it a 5 as well.
Yeah, brilliant. I tell you what, Chris, we're on the same page here, buddy. This never happens. What's going on?
I was talking about this with Garth a couple of weeks ago before the virus, right? And
do you
before
remember
he
that
almost
time?
died. Oh Christ, it was so good. And actually, no, back then it was more like, we'll be fine, but it'll be over. And nope. He was, and I was like, I love the two dynamics, because there's various times where I'm hosting with you two. It's like with me and Garth, we could not have two more different wrestling opinions.
No, you are very much Jim Cornette and Excalibur.
Yeah, and yeah, so. And I was like, but you respect my opinion, so it's cool to talk in that way. Whereas me and you are we normally the only match ratings we've been really apart on so far this year was Arisa versus Utami. Which apparently I'm not alone in that. A lot of Stardom people think that's match of the year. I don't agree with that, but still.
Well, there you go. That's what differences of opinions are for, though.
But that's the only one we've been apart on. So with me and you, we're more sort of oh, so we'd more point out shit the other one didn't notice.
Yeah, exactly.
For example, did you know that Natsuko Tora is the leader of Uedatai?
I didn't know that. Did you know that Saya Kamitani is slightly taller than the other Saya in Stardom, Chris?
She's not slightly taller. She's so much taller. And to be fair, it's super weird. How I was just saying how tall Saya turns into Jack Evans sometimes. Small Saya turns into fucking Walter sometimes. It's weird.
I just wanted to make a note of this match, because after this match, the entire tournament goes fucking just absolute lunacy. It just starts. It's ridiculous.
Dogs and cats living together, pure anarchy.
Just apparently all rules and all booking went out of the window at this point. And the start of this was the sort of semi-main, if you will, of the first round, with Maika versus Utami Hayashishita going to a time limit draw, which was 10 minutes. Really good match, actually. A really strong, hard-hitting match. Obviously, there's a little bit of history between Utami and Maika, with Maika going for Utami's Future of Stardom Championship in January, so there was a little bit of history there, and basically the two have very, very good chemistry. What the fuck happened at the end? Because they were both on the apron, Utami got back in the ring, and then it looked like Maika had been disqualified for springboarding back into the ring, and at no point was it made clear that it was a time limit draw, because then they just carried on fighting, and people from both sides, so Donna Don Mondo and from Queen's Quest just started piling into the ring. So I was like, has someone been disqualified? No. Okay, we're not going to clarify that. Okay, cool. No, that's fine. And then, spoiler alert, because it went to a time limit draw, both of them got eliminated from the tournament.
Yeah, that's what the time limit's there for, man.
What the fuck? No, that's not what a tournament is for. No.
The time limit, not the tournament.
I'm sorry, a time limit draw. If you cannot find a winner, you put them both through. You don't eliminate them. What the fuck?
Fun fact, we did that once in Progress. We did that last year with the Super Strong Style 16 tournament, where David Starr and Travis Banks wouldn't stop fighting for a referee discretion. So Jim Smallman was like, right, if you two stop fighting, you can both go through now. Fuck off.
I hated that. I hated the end to it, and it got rid of one of the more accomplished wrestlers still in the tournament in Utami, so that really wound me up. Chris, very quickly before I carry on my rant, have you got any notes on this match, and what did you give it?
This match was fun. This match was really basic for the most part, like basic mat work, but like both women are rookies, I believe, relative rookies, so that makes sense. I think Mike, because Just Tap Out, of where Mike is from, I'm pretty sure is a rookie promotion. Mike has less than 1 year experience. So,
I mean,
this was...
they're both very heavily judo influenced, you could tell from this match.
Yeah, like a lot of throws, which I'm fine with. Like, honestly, if that's the style they're going for, like, I'm fine watching that style. Like, there was no real bombs in this tournament. Like, I think that was the biggest issue here, was they weren't pacing themselves like, oh, I need to win this fast. They were just sort of having a normal match, and then the time limit happened. Yeah.
Anyway, I gave it a 6 because the ending really got to me.
I gave it a 7 because, like, I'm not to say, like, I'm smarter than you, but, like, I immediately clocked that it was a draw. Because when they started playing the music that they play when there's a draw.
Well, I'm going to quickly go into that in a minute because in the next match, that really wound me up as well. Fair enough, you're going to have a time limit draw. Don't have 16 people in it if you're going to just randomly, completely get rid of 2 matches, which is what they did here. Because what followed was the main event of round 1 and supposedly the marquee match of this round, with Hana Kimura and Mayu Iwatani going to another fucking draw. Now, before I get into a real rant...
This draw was more compelling.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say, before I get into a rant about the finish, the match itself was really, really good. This is the best, aside from the brawl with Giulia, because it's a complete different style of match, this is the best I've seen Hana. I thought they had really, really good chemistry. I thought Mayu made her look brilliant. I thought Hana's use of submissions and trying to work the neck of Mayu was far better than it usually has been. A really strong shotgun dropkick from Hana, I thought, had knocked Mayu's teeth out.
That was great. Like, shotgun dropkicks, when done properly, are the best kind of dropkicks.
Yeah, absolutely.
They both played a really, really dangerous game in this match.
Go on, explain.
Well, they were on the apron for half of it.
Well, that's true. That's...
which was... you have to remember, no one had done that yet. Like, in the second round, that story got really played out. But, like, here...
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say that.
Well, like, here, it's the first time it happened all night. So, like... I was fine with it. And, like, I was really... despite the fact I knew... I didn't know I'd go to a draw. I knew who won the tournament, but I didn't know I went to a draw. So I was watching this. I was like, I still don't know who won this. Oh, Christ, I'm actually really invested. And, yeah, it's just great. Like, Mayu almost kills Hana several times. Hana almost kills Mayu several times. There was a great drop kick that made it look like Hana was going to fall off, but then she just fell through the ropes.
It was great, that was, on the inside. Yeah, she fell back through the ropes into the ring, didn't she?
It's so hard to make that kind of cell look natural, and they did.
They did.
So...
Then the ending happened, Chris. Now...
The ending was super cool, but the problem is the draws, yeah.
Well, it's not even that. The whole thing is... So basically, to paint you a picture, Mayu is on the top rope. Hana goes up and attempts to lock in an octopus stretch on the top rope, which was a really cool visual. Now, what happened next was what I like to call the Pete Dunne Joe coffee spot, where...
That was so unneeded. That was such an unneeded dig at Joe Coffey.
Mate, it happened twice. The same spot.
To be fair, both times it was an accident. I'm pretty sure it was planned here.
Yeah, at least this was planned. So basically, as Hana is locking in the octopus stretch, they both fall from the top rope onto the floor. Basically, they're trying to recreate the Royal Rumble. Is it 94? No, 93. Royal Rumble 93.
With Lex and Brett, and also Cena Batista. If that was an accident.
Yes, absolutely. That wasn't finished by crowd vote though, which demoralisingly for Lex Luger this one was.
But yeah, first of all, the continuation of Mayo just not caring about her future.
It looked like such a nasty pump.
Like we could, because it was single cam, the edited version isn't up on World yet. You seriously could not tell who won.
Yeah, you can. Hana quite clearly lands first. And I'm not saying that because Mayu's my favourite, but even if it's not Hana, to me it looked like Hana ended up falling first and Mayu landed on top of her. Even if it was the other way round, there's no way that they have both landed at the same time on the floor. And in that case, there must be a winner.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm sorry, but you can't just have a draw because both of them fell out. Someone hit the ground first. Whether that be Hana or Mayu. Don't forget, I was the person who said, yeah, Hana will win this match because it'll set up a match with Mayu later on down the line. But no.
I wasn't high on that. After seeing this, I'm quite high on that.
But then, no, we go, no one's going through, and we're going to cut to, well, that was the point where the YouTube feed cut out and you had to go to Stardom World to watch the second round and semi. But at this point, I was like, oh, so they must be doing maybe a four-way then between Maika, Utami, Hana and Mayu. I'd sort of twigged at this point that Maika and Utami had gone to a time limit draw because I was like, about 10 minutes has gone. This one, I was like, I wonder what they're going to do then. They're just going to put them in a three-way or something like that. But no, they're just going to eliminate both of them. Why? Why do that? Why do that with Utami, Hana, and Mayu?
There was definitely a booking reason that didn't go well, but we will get into that.
Fuck, it was such an upsetting ending to a match that I think it was the match that everyone was looking forward to most. It was your main event of round one. To then have it end in such an unsatisfactory way.
Are you telling me everyone wasn't looking forward to as much to Natsuki Tora versus Tall Sire as I was?
Tall Sire?
Right, that's just what people call her.
That's what you call her. No one else calls her that.
Several people call her that.
Anyway, I wanted to give it an 8, but then I went off on how angry I was. Not even that Mayu didn't win, because I didn't think Mayu was going to win anyway. I thought, I don't agree. If you're going to have them draw, go to a time limit draw. And I know that you can't have 2 time limit draws together, but space them out. Okay? Do what you have to do. Don't have such a convoluted way of finishing a match, because it's an interesting idea, but the chances of you having 2 people that are going to fall at exactly the same time, it's just, you're not going to be able to do it. And it ruined the match for me. It really did. It really wound me up. So I gave it 7.
I didn't. I hated this match. Fuck it. 7 out of 10. No, I really enjoyed the ending. I didn't think about it as logically as you did. But I'm a less logical person. I think this is the second best match of the first round after the Slugfest, but honestly, that's just because that's more what I enjoy. I really liked it. This is probably my second favorite match of the entire tournament, to be honest. Again,
I enjoyed the match. It was the ending that ruined it.
I enjoyed the ending. The ending, so I really enjoyed that. I was like, fuck, they died.
Just wound me up. It wound me up. And basically, this match is the one I'm getting back to on Stardom World to see who landed first, because quite clearly someone landed first. So someone should have gone through, whether that is Mayu or Hana. Fuck's sake. Anyway.
Well, I gave it an 8.
So this setup then, going into the second round and semi-finals, we only had 2 quarterfinals because they fucked up the booking, which left us with Momo Watanabe and Giulia in one of the quarterfinals, and in the other quarterfinal you had Konami and Sayori, with Tam getting a bye, basically, and Natsuko Toro getting a bye because, again, of the aforementioned bullshit. So our first quarterfinal match, we had Giulia defeating Momo Watanabe in 4 minutes and 37 seconds. This, even more than the jungle match, this for me went to show that Giulia has 2 moves, and that is it. She has, aside from her big boot and the occasional forearm strike, she has literally the Glorious Buster and the Stealth Viper. That's it. And she just constantly tries to go to those 2 moves. She doesn't seem to have transitional moves, which, fair enough, but it annoys me. It really does annoy me. However, this match was good. I didn't hate this match. I thought Momo carried the match. I thought Giulia did her part. Didn't agree with Giulia kicking out of the B driver, but then I suppose Momo did kick out of...
That's not a finisher, bro.
No, I know, it's the Peach
Sunrise.
Peach Sunrise, that's the one, not the Peach driver. I knew it's the Peach something. But then again, Momo did kick out of something of Giulia's. I can't quite remember. I forgot to note it down. This, again, they both ended up on the apron, and as you mentioned before, Chris, this is where that trope sort of got very, very tired. But
I wasn't tired yet. This was only the second match that did it. Like, maybe they could have put this later on so it wouldn't be so close together. But then again, every fucking match did it. So... every single match that followed did this spot, with, I think, the exception of Sayori and Konami. I can't remember doing it. But yeah, we got Momo being hit with the Glorious Driver on the apron, which I thought was quite a cool finish, and then obviously she slumped to the floor, eliminated. I thought that was quite a cool finish, Chris. That was a cool finish, too. A really good match, because Momo was really good at avoiding Giulia's offense. Like, I understand there's not much to, like... There's not, it's not exactly. It's not an art to duck a big boot. You just go over like, oh, okay, I'm free. It's not like the fucking Ihara Mayu match where she was ducking fucking Power Ranger kicks. Like, yeah, Giulia's basically Kevin Nash.
She does 2 moves, but I will, again, the Stealth Viper looks amazing, and like you've said before, she's got a lot better at the transition into the Glorious Driver and the Glorious Buster. A lot better into those transitions, because when she tried to do it on Hana in that match, it looked so sloppy. It looked really poor.
It did. Again, this is probably like in my top 5 of the tournament, but that's mostly because Momo's so good.
That's exactly what I've put in my notes. Momo really carried Giulia. Which
is hard, because Giulia's quite big.
She's grown. She's longer now. Longer. That's what I'm saying.
Giving Torsaya a run for her money.
I gave this 7. I thought it was a really good match.
I also gave it 7. The finish was really, really good and really elevated it. Like, it's not like it elevated it from like a shit match from up, but yeah, what annoyed me about this match was like the rating was really, really on the wall at this point.
Yeah, I think once you got into part 2, it was very, very clear that it was going to be Giulia winning. Spoilers. Because of the people who were left in, Momo has literally just had a shot at this championship. She's not going to do it again.
She can try to get Arisa back.
And then probably the next big one is Tam Nakano, isn't it, really?
Yeah, to be fair, a lot of people predicted Tam. For 2 reasons. One, like, I don't know where the fuck the source is on this. So, like, don't quote me, but apparently in her contract, she's to get a title run.
I wouldn't hate to see that.
I wouldn't. Well, to be fair, like in terms of like a worker, she's probably top 5. Like the only people I really enjoy more than her is Mayu, Arisa, and Jungle. So,
when you say title run, are we talking red belt or white belt?
Just single. Well, they're pretty much the same level of prestige and Stardom, because so like the white belts had so many great runs in a row. Like I had Momo. There was like EU to Momo to Arisa, whereas like the red belts have been dicked about with some, like if they want to push a outside talent, but probably put a red belt on it. Which like it's weird because apparently I've not seen much of it, but apparently a lot of Stardom fans don't like Tony Storm's run with the red belt.
I forgot Tony Storm had held the red belt, to be honest.
To be fair, yeah. The only reason I know that is because someone brought up recently. Was like, her run was so bad, but I was like, was it though? Like it's Tony Storm. How bad can it be?
We move on then. The second quarterfinal is the match between Syuri and Konami, with Syuri defeating Konami in 4 minutes and 35 seconds. I'd like to share with you the first note in all capitals of this match, which was, good God, shut the fuck up, Syuri. The match quality itself was fine. It's just it got to a point where it really did begin to grate on me. And you know, once you've focused on something, you can't stop focusing on it. It was that for me. I couldn't stop hearing this horrible... No, it's like Akira Tozawa, but on volume 50. It was just awful. It was like, shut up. However, I did really enjoy the transitions in this match. Syuri just constantly trying to hit or trying to lock in the armbar. Konami then trying to lock in her own version of it. There was one moment where Konami had Syuri in the armbar and Syuri attempted to roll out of it. So Konami rolled with her and locked her in a different variation of it. I thought that was really smooth, really seamless, really, really good variation of it. But ultimately, Syuri wins with the sit-down sharpshooter, which looked vicious.
Which is a big thing, because Konami got to the finals of last year.
Really?
Yeah, it was her and Arisa in the finals.
Can you imagine that was a good final match?
It was.
Not a lot to say about this match. I did think it was weird that they put Syuri and Giulia in the same semi-final match, but that's by the by.
I only have one note for this match.
Which was?
Hang on, I've lost it. Jesus fuck the kicks.
Yes, I couldn't have put that better myself. If I've got a tagline for this match, it's Jesus fuck the kicks.
Like there was a lot of them.
There was a lot of them, in fairness. There was a lot of them in this tournament. There was so many strong kicks, so many stiff kicks. It's just ridiculous.
And Arisa wasn't even in it.
I know. I gave this... What did I give this? Look at my notes. I gave it 6.
I gave it a 7 because of the kicks.
See, I don't think it was as good as the previous match, so that's why I went 6.
No, but like the previous match for me was like a mid 7, whereas this is more low 7.
It's a 7 minus.
Yeah, like if we do it as like a percentage, it's like this is around 70%, whereas the other one was like 75%.
Basically, you got a B minus in his GCSEs, not a B.
I mean, we don't do minuses up here. We don't even do letters. We do numbers. We do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Well, I know they do now. They didn't when I was at school, Chris, because I'm not a fetus.
I'm not that young.
Chris, you're like 12 max.
I'm 23 years old. I can legally drink in my own home.
Match 12 then, it was the first semi-final with the two people who got byes from the previous round, Natsuko Tora and Tam
Wait,
Nakano.
this match was only 3 minutes for... This felt so much longer.
Exactly. Tora defeated Tam Nakano in 3:46. My first note is, what even is this match? I mean, Tam was absolutely all over the place. Now, the two of these, I did not anticipate Tam being the one to botch as much as she did.
Yeah, there was one point that really got me where Tam was doing going to do like her, basically a curb stomp kick as Tora was trying to get out of the ring.
Yes.
Yeah, that missed a lot.
It missed because she kicked the top rope.
Like I am currently closer to Rob than that foot was to Tora's head.
Yeah, she then slipped off the second rope, which obviously she can't help, but it looked really, really untidy. And then there was a bit where Tam is on the second rope again, and Saki just in plain sight of the referee. Saki Kashima is just full on strangling Tam Nakano.
This is one of my notes. Fuck off, Saki.
But like, It's not even like the referee's been distracted by Tora. Saki is doing it whilst Tora is in a hold by Tam. And the ref is just looking at it. He's like, do your fucking job. What's going on here? What is going on?
I think he just doesn't see Saki because she's so irrelevant.
Maybe. You were a fan of the finish, though, Chris.
Yeah, because Tam had been thrown over the top, but Natsu, as we discussed earlier, went through the middle. And then Tam Germaned Tora fell to the ground. The crowd thinks, oh, she's won, and then it clicks. Oh, she didn't go over the top rope. Tora goes back in, knocks her off. That's a pretty cool creative finish.
It was
If this was the first round, I'd think that was great. But this sets up the fucking finals.
It was a very, very, very A, anticlimactic, and B, sloppy semi-final. And when you've got a match that includes Tam Nakano, you don't anticipate that. I mean, Tora isn't a bad worker. You don't anticipate a match that ultimately was my worst of the tournament.
I find it hard to disagree. Maybe the hater match, but then again, as said, this felt like 6-7 minutes in 3. So
yeah, exactly. This went just short of 4 minutes, 3 minutes 46 minutes, 3 minutes 46 seconds. It felt like 46 minutes. Yeah, it was a really poor match. I gave it 4, and I think that's been a little bit generous, to be honest.
Yeah, I get a 5 for the ending.
I'm not giving it a 5. I refuse. And the reason I'm not giving it a 5 is because the second semi-final was an all Donna Del Mondo affair, with Giulia defeating Suri in 4 minutes and 6 seconds. This was a very, very bland match. And it's the first Giulia match where she hasn't been paired with a really, really, really good worker. No disrespect to Suri, I'm sure she's great. But at this point, I'm not... People what?
People are really high on Suri. She's worked in like TJPW and shit beforehand. She's really high... Continuing the theme, she's 8.15 on Cage Match with several years of experience.
I mean...
Debuted in 2008.
She looks like she's got...
Trained by Tajiri.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, she's good, but she's not capable of carrying Giulia, who, Giulia is not a bad worker. Please don't go away from this podcast assuming that I'm just slagging off Giulia's work rate. She's okay. She's just so bland. And I've got another note for the final afterwards about just how bland I find her offense. Much as Suri's voice winds the living shit up out of me, at least she is emoting in some way.
It's the problem Tammy used to have, but the difference is Tammy's a rookie and Giulia has been going, one sec, I can get this number up for you, for 2 years, so about the same amount of time. Why is she being pushed so hard? It really is a Roman Reigns push Giulia's getting, isn't it?
I wish I had an answer.
Roman Reigns, Lex Luger. Like, I'll get into it in my rant, but it's like so obvious. But yeah, no, there's nothing to talk about in this match. Like, nothing.
Yeah, and the match was very nothing. There was one good thing that came out of this match. In fact, I'll tell you the exact ending note that I'll put in a minute. There was a wonderful visual of Suri attempting to German suplex Giulia off the apron, with Giulia hanging on to the rope on the outside and Suri bending backwards so her face was upside down towards the hard cam. I thought that was a really, really cool visual.
Cool visual. And actually, there's one thing I forgot where Giulia just slapped the shit out of Suri.
Well, she does that to Tora in the final as well. And, credit where credit's due. They were some good slaps. I described this match as a cavalcade of meh. Which
I put, and I was quite proud of this. My feet stayed warm because no socks were being blown off.
I love it. Yeah, that's the best way of describing it. This was supposed to be a semi-final. At this point, by the way, just a little spoiler to our fans out there, I didn't know that this was the semi-final. I thought this was still a quarterfinal.
Oh, I have the exact text from Rob, and he realised what's going to happen. 1 second. Open WhatsApp. Fuck's sake.
Fuck's sake, called it. So anyway, I gave that a 5, Chris.
I also gave it a 5.
Nothing offensive. They didn't botch anything. It's nothing that you can remember.
Even like the matches here aren't long enough to actively annoy me. The next one, on the other hand, the finals.
Right. So, Chris, if I can, I'd like to read you the first couple of lines. So, the Cinderella Tournament 2020 final match was obviously Giulia defeating Natsuko Tora in 12 minutes and 41 seconds, by far the longest match of the tournament. And I wrote this. Match 14. The fuck? Is this the final? So Mayu and Hana is just not having a result, and neither is Micro Utami. What's the actual fuck? I mean, fuck me. Even Giulia's bumps are boring. Those were my notes.
Okay.
I mean, couple with that the fact that both people not only pushed the referee, but judo threw him across the ring. We had a chain being used openly in front of the referee.
Okay, I think in this case is a case of there must be a decisive winner type thing. You know, sort of like how, like, I think it's a bit unfair to talk about, like, oh, they're not, the ref isn't DQing when one of your favorite matches is Ishimori versus Takahashi, where they fight all over the fucking shop.
Do they touch the referee?
Yes, several times. I mean, in this match, yes, not in.
Yeah. In the Takahashi Ishimori match, do they touch the referee? Do they use weapons? Yes. They beat the. Go on.
I hate when you're right.
I know. I mean, they were trying to institute some sort of heat in this match with, as you rightly proclaimed at the start of the tournament, with Tora being the de facto heel of the tournament and Giulia somehow being the face, even though she has been portrayed as somewhat of a heel. I'm pretty sure that Donna Del Mondo are supposed to be sort of tweenery heel faction, but there we are. It felt so messy, it felt so meandering, and this isn't just on Giulia, this is on Tora as well. It was so boring. It really was. And this was supposed to be a final, and I don't know whether it's because I was deflated, because how long ago did I said to you that Giulia was winning this tournament?
As soon as the brackets were announced.
Yeah, I said, there's no way Giulia's not winning this. Giulia has to win this.
I got irrationally angry.
You
Speaking
did.
of.
Go on, do your rant, my friend.
Okay. So, I've been holding this in. I am very emotional right now. I'm not. I am, though, but I'm not. So, like, this sort of booking can really, 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 really work. Right? Because when you think about it, Giulia's the only person in the tournament who's had to wrestle a full tournament. Natsuko missed a match. And then, like, the other two matches went short. She was against a rookie and then cheated to beat Tam. But she would have been a great in the finals. But Giulia wasn't a face going into this tournament. At least if she was a really bad face. And B, didn't become a baby face throughout this tournament because none of her matches were all that grueling. Like, she never really showed any emotion, like, and I'm going to sound like a fanboy. You know who'd have been perfect in Giulia's exact position?
Oh, pick me. I know. Is it
Go
Jungle?
On. Yes, it is Jungle. You know why? Because people love Jungle, Rob. Jungle never really gets any opportunities. When she does, she comes up just short. A bit of a Sami Zayn thing going on. It would have worked, but tell me that wouldn't have worked perfectly.
It wouldn't have worked perfectly.
Okay, how?
I'm just doing it to wind you up now because I know how angry you are.
No, because think about it. TCS are feuding with Donna Del Mondo, so she beats two of her main rivals right now. And then she also beats Momo, who's one of the most devastating defeats she's ever had. And then she beats Natsuko Tora from Iwatani, who keep almost killing Jungle. Because Kagetsu was a bit of a dick. It would have been great. Like, seriously, this is such a good story, and like for her role, Tora played that role to a T. Like, she was playing that spoiler to like this perfect babyface that everyone wanted to see win. You know who no one wanted to see win? Giulia. You know what this is like, Rob? You remember at the end of the fucking Royal Rumble 2015 when Roman Reigns last eliminated Kane and the Big Show, and it was meant to be a case of, oh well, you don't want Kane and Big Show to win, so cheer for... This is almost what we were going for, because quite honestly, yes, Julie is a much better winner than Tora, but Tora played her role in the tournament better because I wanted her to lose.
Yeah, can't argue with you, mate, to be perfectly honest.
And like, it's this sort of booking that made me hate WWE, where it's like, oh, well, it's worse by comparison. But I was so hyped for this tournament going in, so many like potential amazing matches. And like, I don't mind Giulia going far. Hell, I wouldn't even mind Giulia winning if they'd have just done a normal tournament, but they didn't. They did Roman Reigns' tournament to try and get sympathy on her, and it didn't work. Like, honestly, if Giulia had won, and like every other and like we hadn't had the bollocks in the first round and everything like that, I wouldn't be so pissed off about this. But she did, and like it's so blatant, like unbelievably blatant. Because Stardom want Giulia to be a thing, mostly because she's probably very marketable. She has a very unique look compared to the rest of Stardom. It's not a bad look and by any means, but like it sort of goes back to the Roman Reigns thing. She's a subpar worker with awful mic skills, because every promo she cuts in front of a live crowd dies a death, and but like has a good look, so that's why they want to push it. That's literally what's happening in a stable of 3 people where she's the least interesting.
Yeah, she is. Just quickly, do you think they have booked certain areas of this tournament because they were unfortunately at a slight disadvantage, Stardom, at the fact that they had to cancel a lot of shows that would have built to this, potentially building heat between Tora and Giulia? If that was supposed to be their final, potentially, you know, they would have built a lot more heat. You would have felt a lot more sympathy for Giulia if there had been a lot more exchanges on, you know, I don't want to say the Road 2 shows, but the Road 2 shows. You know, if Tora and, you know, the rest of Iwatani are beating the living shit out of Giulia for 3 weeks, you know, to then see Giulia beat Tora in the final, it would develop a sense of, you know, of sympathy towards that babyface character, and she would be a babyface heading in. They are at a slight disadvantage at the fact that they have gone from, first of all, the 8th of February to the 8th of March with no shows. And don't forget, the 8th of March, with the exception of the title match, had absolutely no storyline relevance whatsoever. And then to go from the 8th of March to the 24th of March with no story again. You know, it's difficult to... And I do sympathise with Stardom for that. And I think for the vast majority of this tournament, they did a good job. But there was the convoluted way they booked the 2 final matches of the first round, the Maika and Utami match and the Hana Kimura and Mayu match. It ruined those matches for me. And I personally... If you want Giulia to be the winner, perfect, okay? I think Giulia is a perfect person to win this tournament. Maybe not a 5-star yet, but this tournament is a good stepping stone, similar to the New Japan Cup being a perfect stepping stone for someone like Zack Sabre Jr. But you don't do it by clearing a path for her. You do it by having her put in those hard yards. Have her beat Mayu. Have her beat Hana again in another grueling match. Yes, you run the risk of her being booed against, you know, a more established person, but if she's put in a massive shift, a really, really good match against someone like that, like she was doing against Jungle and like she did against Momo, you keep that going and don't make it completely glaringly obvious that you're just clearing a path for her, then I think you'll get more of a crowd reaction. It's difficult as well with there only being 538 people in attendance, because whereas there would have been more reaction from the crowd, whether it was 1,200 people or I think we can safely assume it would have been 1,500 and something for a tournament and it's Stardom. Yeah. there'd have been more of a reaction and potentially, we would have had different things and playing off the audience and things like that. It's difficult when you have got minimal people in attendance. I still think it was the wrong way of doing things.
Right. If we were going to have a story like this, it needs to be an actual babyface. Like, you need to shuffle it around. So, like, someone like Tam or Mayu or Jungle or even Hana. Go.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at the fact that Jungle gets put into that conversation all the time. Jungle, Jungle, Jungle!
Right, leave me alone. But, like, honestly, you could have just had a normal tournament and then, like, Giulia and Tam in the finals would have been great. If, like, Giulia running isn't my problem. It's the way they booked her to win. Because, like, she hasn't actually won a... Like, it doesn't feel like she's won, like, a tournament. It just feels like she was handed a dress, really.
It like, felt a little bit rushed, didn't it? It
definitely, like, seriously, like, why not have Giulia and Tam in the finals if you had to have like the exact same brackets, or like there's such better finals you could have a final match you could have had for Giulia, because again the first two matches she had were really like on the higher end for this tournament, and then it just fell down a cliff. This was a really poorly booked tournament as a whole, and I know it's not fully Giulia's fault, but like to bring in your point of we could have built up more thing. They didn't interact at all on No People Gate. You could have had that happen. Like,
I'm not disagreeing with you.
One show's build isn't. I understand one show's build isn't a lot, but it's like, but they built to the first round matches, which is fine. But like, I doubt, like, if they didn't do it at all on No People Gate, I don't trust them to have done anything in the 3 weeks leading up to it.
See. The question is, if you want Giulia to be the de facto babyface, which, I think everyone was assuming that she was, as, she's taken on Tora. The question is 3 weeks or however long enough to turn Giulia babyface?
No.
I mean, with the right booking, I think so. I think, if you put her against bruisers and stat the odds against her and things like that, then you can turn a babyface, make her more appealing to the crowd. If you're going to have her as a tweener, then yeah, I think someone like Tam should have been in the final and have Giulia beat Tam in the final. If you do that, though, you are running the risk of Giulia not getting over with the crowd and being booed. We don't know. I mean... But,
like, if she's a tweener, that's fine.
I mean, me and you don't know how Giulia is being received in Japan. Yes, her promos aren't great when she closes shows. I mean, again, it was difficult with...
They're not even not great. They're not well received.
Well, this is the thing.
Like, she's getting the Tatsu... when Tatsu United got laughed out of the building at Sumo Hall, I think? That's what's happening every time Giulia has to cut a promo in front of a live crowd.
Well, that's the problem. We don't really know what was said at the end of the Cinderella tournament. Because it wasn't up with the English subtitles. We know what the wish was, but apart from that, we don't know what else was said.
I haven't seen what the wish was. What's the wish?
Oh, I'm not telling you yet.
Title shot.
I don't know. It felt like a very, very rushed tournament, and completely, with all the circumstances that are going round at the moment, I completely agree that, there was little they could do towards storylines going into this tournament.
Yeah, but you could have built something in the tournament, and the story they tried to tell in the tournament didn't work. Like, it'll be funny. Like, for me, a good wrestling tournament should be able to work in isolation. You look at something like King of the Ring '93, where like Bret Hart managed to book a good story for himself on his path to winning, and even there, Bam Bam got a bye, so that sort of thing can work. You look at something like any Super Strong Style 16, they always work well. Even like earlier this month with WXW 16 Carat, there was a self-contained story within this, because like one tournament is a lot of wrestling, so like you should be able to have it be self-contained. Like people should be able to like drop in and go, okay, what's this promotion about? And like they did a fine job of it last year. Like, honestly, like I understand building prolonged storylines has definitely been affected, but like for building story to win a tournament, I don't think that's a fault at all. Because again, the winner isn't the issue; it's how they booked the win. It's how they booked her to win.
Yeah, it
It
did seem like you'd got people backstage going, right, we're at point A, there's point B. What's the quickest way we can get there?
Yeah, and I don't know, but there's no point in cutting the two matches. Again, if we were going to tell this team's the story of Giulia winning, Tora's the wrong person to do it against. If we wanted to tell the story of Tora being vanquished, Giulia's the wrong person to do it. It's a perfect mix of the wrong people in the wrong places.
Yeah,
it's like a baby in the middle of a fucking freeway.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, obviously, post-match then, Giulia was presented with the dress. She went backstage, got changed, came back, accompanied by the rest of the members of Donna Del Mundo. Fluffed getting into the ring, but I'm not going to hold that against her because, to be fair...
Have you seen that dress?
I was just going to say, looking at that dress, I think I'd sort of walking in it, never mind getting into a wrestling ring. She then cut a promo with the live crowd. Again, not English subtitled, which was slightly irritating. A quick Google search, though, has basically said that she wants to have a match with Arisa.
But she's going to beat Arisa, isn't she?
Yes. I mean, at the moment, Arisa is on a massive, massive unbeaten streak, a massive run with the white belt. You've got Giulia, who hasn't been pinned or submitted.
Because of the Cinderella last year, actually. Yeah. Symmetry.
So you can play off that sort of storyline. I think, of all the people to take the belt off Arisa, because at the moment there are very few people left to take the belt off Arisa. I think
she's beaten Tam, she's beaten Jungle. She hasn't done Hana yet, but I'm not sure how well Hana would fit into the white belt, because the white belt's very much the work rate belt at this point. I say that Mayu's done a great job of helping after Beige Rain. I say that Beige Rain wasn't bad. I'm going on a ramble. My point is, I'm not happy about this.
Well, it looks like that is what's going to happen. And yeah, curtains close.
So we get it just because it would annoy Rob.
Curtain close on the Cinderella Tournament 2020. Chris, if you had to give this a letter grade A to D, you can have your pluses and minuses. What would you give this tournament as a whole, taking the entire thing into consideration?
C minus.
I don't think I'm as down on it as you. I know that you have very, very specific points that you are down on. I completely understand your points.
The match quality of this tournament is really good, but the base, the booking, which is just got up. There's nothing good about the booking in this tournament.
I could not agree with you more. I think the match quality overall, with the exception of two matches, was fine, and in most of the cases was great. I do agree that there was some booking decisions that made absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever, and I think it led to an anticlimactic final, which we still haven't rated, by the way. I gave it 6.
Yes. I'm gonna just let you rate it because I'm just angry about I'm so angry about the booking. I'd probably give it a 2. Despite the fact it's definitely not a 2.
It is absolutely not a 2. So, ladies and gentlemen,
it's definitely the best Tora match, I'd say.
Yeah,
is it? Actually, no. I think the Hazuki one might be a bit better.
Pardon me, her retirement match.
Yeah, I mostly just remember that because for some reason Jungle decided to shoot on her.
Yeah, one of the best unanswered questions in Stardom cast history. Why did Jungle slap her?
It's just a great unanswered wrestling question.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. We've waited for so long for Stardom to come back, and now it's finally back. Unfortunately, we've had no confirmation of any future cards or where they're going after this.
It sounds like we're discussing lockdown in Japan. So.
Well, fingers crossed that doesn't happen for many
We've started caring about human lives now that the Olympics has been postponed.
Well, fingers crossed that, the lockdown doesn't happen for many other non-wrestling related reasons.
Totally not because I'm really excited for the Champions Carnival.
Well, yeah, there is that, I suppose. Thank you so much for listening, ladies and gentlemen. You can, of course, talk to us on Twitter at the StardomCast. Don't forget to check out the website, www.podmania.co.uk, where, of course, you can go back, check out all the podcast archives of all the podcasts that are under the umbrella of Podmania Podcasting Network. Also includes lots of our features, columns, and articles, which we are revamping and bringing out again. You can also check out our match ratings archive, going across all promotions. Check out what we think of those, including the Cinderella Tournament ratings from today.
Not all. We should say your local Fed is definitely not in there.
Yes, Discovery Wrestling is not on there, Chris. I'm so sorry.
To be fair, like, one of the best wrestling trilogies I've ever seen was The Undertaker versus Sugar Dunkerton.
Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. You can find us in all the usual places: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Castbox, Podbean, all the usual places. We are there. Chris, where can they find you on Twitter?
And Bushi.
You can also find me at Real Rob Goodwin. We shall be back when Stardom next go to Korakuen Hall. Unfortunately, we don't have a time frame for that, but as soon as we do, we'll make an announcement on Twitter, and we shall be back. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you guys again soon.
Now you're going to die.